You know what your rent, utilities, groceries, and other monthly bills cost. But then the car needs maintenance, you need new clothes, an annual renewal comes due, or you have a medical expense you didn't include. Suddenly, the amount you thought you needed each month isn't enough. I'll show you how to figure out what your life really costs so these normal expenses stop catching you off guard. The problem is that most of us calculate what we need by looking at a normal month. Rent or mortgage, utilities, groceries, gas, insurance, debt payments. All the bills we expect to pay this month. Add those numbers together, and you have what looks like your monthly cost of living. But that number can be incomplete. And notice, I'm not including recreation, eating out, or your Starbucks coffee. Those are choices, and that's a different conversation. Right now, we're figuring out what your life actually requires. Because your life doesn't happen 1 month at a time. Some expenses happen every week. Some happen every month. Others happen every few months or only once or twice a year. And those expenses still have to be paid for with the same income. So the first thing to understand is this. A monthly bill and a monthly cost are not necessarily the same thing. Something doesn't have to send you a bill every month to be part of what your life costs each month. And that's where the number most of us use can start to fall apart. Think about your car. You may include gas, insurance, and the car payment in your monthly expenses. But what about oil changes? Tires? Registration? Routine maintenance? Eventually, those expenses are going to happen. The same thing is true throughout your life. And the same thing happens with medical costs, clothing, annual renewals, repairs, replacements, and other expenses throughout the year. None of these have to happen every month to be part of your normal cost of living. That's the distinction that matters. Irregular doesn't automatically mean unexpected. If I know my car will eventually need tires, the timing may be uncertain, but the expense itself shouldn't surprise me. If I know I spend money on Christmas every December, Christmas isn't an emergency. And if I know my insurance renewal comes once a year, paying it shouldn't suddenly make that month look unusually expensive. These expenses feel unexpected when we leave them out of the number we're using to represent what life costs. So the question isn't just, what bills do I have this month? The better question is, what does it cost to live my life over an entire year? That's the number we need to bring back into the monthly picture. When you don't do that, you can believe you have more room in your budget than you actually have. Suppose your regular monthly expenses are $4,000 and your income is $4,500. It looks like you have $500 left each month. But throughout the year, you also have expenses that don't come every month. Maybe the car needs maintenance twice a year. You replace clothes and shoes when needed. You have a dental bill, an annual renewal, and a few household repairs. When you look back over the year and average out what those once-in-a-while expenses cost you, you may discover they represent another $500 a month. Now your life isn't really costing you $4,000 a month. On average, it's costing you closer to $4,500. That $500 you thought you had left wasn't really extra. It was money your life was going to need for expenses that just don't show up every month. Now the picture is very different. The good news is you don't need to predict exactly when every expense will happen or the exact price. You need a better way to calculate what your life normally costs. Here's how I would do it. Start with the expenses you already know happen regularly. Those are the easy ones. Then stop looking at just 1 month. Look backward over the last year if you can. Find the normal expenses that showed up outside your regular monthly bills. Look for things like car maintenance, medical and dental costs, including deductibles, annual expenses, clothing, repairs, replacements, and other costs you know come up during the year. Don't worry about making the list perfect. You're trying to find the expenses that are part of your normal life but disappear when you look only at a typical month. Now estimate what each category costs over a year. Let's say car maintenance costs you about $1,200 a year. That's $100 a month. Maybe medical and dental expenses average $600 a year. That's another $50 a month. Perhaps clothing and shoes average $1,200 a year. Another $100 a month. Annual expenses and renewals might add another $600. That's $50 more. Those 4 categories alone have added $300 to what your life actually costs each month. You won't necessarily spend that $300 this month. That's not the point. The point is that your life consumes that money over time. Once you start converting irregular annual expenses into monthly amounts, you get a much more realistic answer to the question: how much money do I really need each month? And now you have a number you can actually plan around. Here's where I would start. Take your regular monthly expenses and write down that total. Then look back over the last 12 months and make a second list. Don't look at every transaction. You're looking for those once-in-a-while expenses that are part of your normal life but weren't included in your regular monthly number. Add those expenses together for the year and divide the total by 12. Then add that monthly amount to your regular monthly expenses. Now you have a much more realistic starting number for what your life actually costs each month. And don't get stuck trying to make that number perfect. Your first estimate probably won't be. And that's okay. As the year goes on, adjust it. If car maintenance costs more than you estimated, change the number. If you discover another normal expense you forgot to include, add it. The goal isn't to predict every expense or know exactly what everything will cost. It's to stop planning your finances around a month that doesn't represent your whole life. Each time you adjust the number, your plan becomes a little closer to the life you're actually paying for. So when you're trying to figure out how much money you need each month, don't stop with the bills that arrive every month. Look at the entire year. Include the normal costs that arrive irregularly, turn them into monthly amounts, and add them to the number you're planning around. Now you have a much better picture of what your life actually costs. But there's another number we haven't looked at yet. Beyond what your life requires, there's the money you choose to spend on the way you live. In the next video, we're going to answer a very different question. How much is your lifestyle really costing you?